All the Creatures Were Stirring is a 2018 American horror anthology film written and directed by Rebekah and David Ian McKendry. It stars Graham Skipper and Ashley Clements in the wraparound segment. So, I love horror anthologies. You guys have heard me talk about this, quite a bit, even recently. I just don't really vibe so much with like goofy, silly horror. Maybe if it's arty or super stylized or well written, at least one of those. This movie, in my opinion, is none of those. I actually had this movie in my collection. Just kind of collecting dust on a shelf somewhere. Bought it cheap a couple of years ago, and decided, yeah, I guess now's the time to finally give it a watch. In fact, I realized. It's December, so I'm gonna start watching all the holiday, or all the Christmas horror stuff, and I'll start reviewing that. I don't know why I haven't done that before, but I'm doing it now, man. So yeah, and I vaguely remember hearing like some vaguely good things about this movie, and I guess I assumed I probably would like it. It's panned out well for me before in the past, so. But man, I gotta say, I don't think I've ever seen an anthology that I disliked completely before. And don't get me wrong, before we get started, really, I didn't hate this. I didn't hate this movie, but I don't like it. Like, I actively dislike it. So the wraparound plot follows two people on a date of some sort, and I'll admit it's always cool to see Graham Skipper. He's been in a number of low budget things that I've enjoyed over the last 15 years or so. So yeah, always enjoy seeing him pop up. They wander into this like arty theater, doing some kind of like performative storytelling that translates into segments featuring other actors. So basically, like they're doing a performative story, and the audience is interpreting it into the movie that we see. Yeah, I don't know if that made any sense, but I don't care enough to clarify. Sorry. So at first I hated this gimmick. That was like my instant thought was like, no way. But after a while, I just tried to kind of convince myself, like, hey man, maybe it's smart and you just don't get it yet. Give it some time. I do give the writers, credit for doing something unique. I think it is unique as far as I can remember. That said, it didn't work for me. And yeah, by the time it was over, yeah, didn't like the gimmick at all. Didn't like it. But I still give them a little bit of credit. You gotta do something, right? So anyways, there's 6 segments here, and man, I just, again, I didn't like any of them. Not a single one. I think this is the first time that's ever happened to me. They all are Christmas oriented, I think, if I remember correctly, and I'm believe me, I'm trying to look at this objectively because I do realize that just because I'm not into something, it doesn't mean that it's bad. That's like the worst mindset to have. I think we've all been guilty of it at one point, but you gotta grow up a little bit. So, and if you want to review movies, and you want to be good at it, not saying that I am, but if you want to be, you want to do this thing, you have to kind of think like this. But it's, it doesn't mean it's easy, and for me, it's certainly not easy. So yeah, it's quirky and silly in a dark way. Of course, this is horror, but yeah, I did laugh once or twice, but I didn't care for any of the characters really, not enough to like. Be even remotely invested in any one of them. And I know that anthologies aren't typically character driven, so that's not super important. The acting was solid though, not amazing, but not bad. Solid. So, it all boils down to me at least, or for me at least, it boils down to the writing. The backbone of every film. And, the occasional, Twilight Zone vibe aside, because there was 1 or 2 segments, definitely one, where I got Twilight Zone vibes and it started to make me happy, but then it just didn't go anywhere, not anywhere that, I wanted it to. Yeah, these stories they did nothing for me. Kind of a similar problem I had with a Scare Package that I watched recently. But, at least that movie had some gore and, some funner vibes, and it just worked for me a little bit more. So I'm giving All the Creatures Were Stirring a 4 out of 10. I don't like doing negative reviews, and I rarely do it, but this just wasn't for me, like, at all. If you like silly anthologies and you want something to watch for the holidays, yeah, you might like it. Yeah, I know some people did. I just didn't. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.
Subscribe right now, please.